Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Small Business Podcast. My name is Kevin. Today, I'm joined by Bill, who has quite the experience in a number of areas, running his own business and businesses, I should say. It's going to be a fun, probably lengthier conversation than I've had so far with some other business owners, Bill.
It'll be fun.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, before we get into it, let me kind of give everyone a background on kind of who you are and kind of what you've done so far. It does look like you have a very diverse background, running the two companies that you run. We'll get into those later on. But so everyone knows, Bill did start his career in banking, working for both a major California and Midwest bank. And then he went on into his first love, which was acting. And I'm really excited to hear more about that. And working as a professional actor for 15 years. He then joined Ernst & Young LLP as a tax accountant and worked 24 years doing taxes. And in 2015, it looks like Bill here left the taxing to start his own small travel agency, Cruise Planners, Heart and Soul Excursions, which has been running for 10 years now. And in 2019, Bill returned to theater and started the nonprofit Bailey Theater Company in Bailey, Colorado, which is embarking on its 6th year of operations there. Very diverse background. It's definitely, I can say, helped you with a number of things, and also having a large impact on your community out there in Bailey, and also winning an award, the Impact Award out there in Bailey for all you've done. And so, community is a huge part, I think, of, running a small business. And I'm excited to hear about that too, Bill. So let me just kind of hand over to you and, kind of share some of your experience. Maybe if you want to go a little bit more into depth in one of those areas and just kind of share your story, man.
Yeah, as you said, my story is rather unique. You don't see too many people that kind of are right and left brain centered people. I went out to LA in 1980 to become a professional actor and missed my break by telephone call. So I walked into a bank and said, I need a job, and got a job that day and started working for them, worked for them for 5 years, and then moved back to the Midwest where I'm originally from and worked in banking for a total of about 10 years. And then moved to Flint area of Michigan. Not much as far as employment goes. So I went back into acting and started winning awards, did a lot of voiceover work for GM and print ad work. So they're magazines that they would send to dealers. I would be on the cover or inside of that. And then the voiceover stuff was mostly training stuff for them. We did one commercial, I think. And then went full board back into acting in the theater. That's why I've done most of my acting. I've done about 80 stage productions, and went to a professional theater in a little town called Horse Cave, Kentucky, and worked with them for 3 seasons. That's where I met my wife. She's a professional stage manager, equity stage manager. Okay. She actually went, interned at Juilliard, and they liked her so much they hired her back on staff. So, and she worked at Second City in Chicago also. So she's got quite a big credentials also. So after acting for a while, we moved back to her home state, which was Indiana, because she got an opportunity to work for the theater she always wanted to work for, Indiana Repertory Theater. And I couldn't find acting stuff on a regular basis. So I started temping, and I was a temp at Ernst & Young, and they hired me on. I worked for them for 9 years, and then worked for other places for another 15 years doing taxes, both corporate, partnership, and individual taxes. 2015, decided I was working too hard, putting in about 60 to 90 hours a week, pretty much all year round. and decided I needed to change. So I started the travel business, which is a franchise. I did a lot of research, which is something I'm fairly good at, and found that it was one of the top franchises in the country. And, I've been pretty happy doing that for the 10 years. But I also started getting really involved in the community, and the community said, Bailey, I don't know if you know Bailey, but Bailey's a small town that's right on US Highway 285. And a lot of people pass through to go to the mountains. So they needed a reason for people to stop in the town. So they thought a theater, because people would, have dinner and maybe shop before or after the theater, maybe stay the night. So they said, hey, you got background in theater, why don't you start a theater? So in 2019, we began. In 2020, we became a 501c3 nonprofit. We're a professional theater where everyone gets paid. That's involved with the production. I've not made a dime yet, but and it's been going great. Last year, attendance was up about 200%. We really had a great summer. We do two shows, and we perform at a local resort called Glen Isle Resort. They have a banquet room that we use. It's not exactly theater like you'd see in Denver, but we do pretty well. We only seat about 50 people, so it's a nice, intimate theater experience for everyone.
That's fantastic. I definitely want to get into the travel agency you have there, but kind of walk us through, what it took to maybe start up that theater company, from the business owner mindset. What were maybe some of the struggles? And I know you have a lot of experience in theater, but I imagine it's maybe a little different when it's time to, buckle up and start your own little theater out there, a little theater company. What does that take?
Well, especially in the time frame that we did it, because, just a couple of years after we opened, COVID, of course, so that cut back on stuff. It's a challenge because of the smallness of the community. So I have some great business leaders that donate to the theater. But finding funding is a difficult process. And now with the federal government, delaying anything as far as the NEA goes, federal grants are out. So we got to look for other places for money. We've increased from the first year that we did it. We did one show that was a reading that was a fundraiser, and it cost us $1,200 because we still paid people. To this year, we'll have a budget of about $28,000.
Okay.
So we've grown substantially. We've always made money, except for last year we were short about $1,400, and that was just because of extra expenses because of the budget that we had. So run a pretty fine operation, and that's one of the good sides, is that there's not a lot of people in theater administration that has the business background that I have. So right. I'm really big with budgets and really big with making sure taxes are filed on time and everything like that. So it's been an adventure, but it's very heartwarming. And we did start seeing last year, especially, people that were stopping and having lunch or dinner at local restaurants. They stayed the night at Glen Isle, and people in the shops, just from talking to local people, people were telling them, oh, well, we're here to see the theater, and we just thought we'd stop in. So it's starting to have the impact that we wanted, and I knew that it was going to be a growth trajectory type of thing. I knew it wasn't going to be able to just start out and do everything we wanted, but we're getting there.
That's awesome. I think, at least from my standpoint, if I were to go out there and start a business, I think a lot of my focus would be purely on what can I do to make my business succeed and kind of keep things internal, right? but it's so important to have that community involvement, and to get something like the impact award for your community is gigantic. I think that says a lot about you and your businesses and what you run. So, kind of talk to us about, how do you approach community involvement in general, and what are maybe some things that new business owners, or current ones that maybe aren't really thinking about, that need to kind of just process and try to, strive towards?
Well, I think it's a tough thing for people that don't have a business background, because your immediate desire when you start up is to focus on your business and your business alone. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not really the way to grow a business. The way to grow a business is very organically. Yes, you can use social media, you can use other ways to advertise, but organically growing your business because of people that you meet and know really draws people back in, because then they start finding out that their neighbor worked with you, or they came to a show and they got to see a show. So I think that it's a mindset you have to change, and you have to say, I love the community that I'm in, and I'm going to support other businesses and my community any way that I can, because I know that that's going to come back to me.
Right. I think it's so funny to hear that, the competition part of being a business owner, right? I want to be the best. I want my business to be the best. And it's second, or it goes against nature almost, I think, for maybe some people to say, part of me succeeding is based off of helping those around me succeed as well.
Yes.
So taking that extra step and trying to figure out how to be organically involved with your community is such an important aspect. Going to the travel side of things, what kind of things have you done with the travel business in terms of maybe some community outreach or involvement there as well?
Yeah, so I took a group of 28 people on a river cruise in Europe a couple of years ago. We worked through the local winery to do that. So again, incorporating business into stuff. I've sent people all over the world, and anything from going to Mexico for a weekend to, I sent some people to the Southeast Asia and stuff. So I mean, it's been, and someone just recently to Australia. So it's been really interesting, because of course I had learned all about the countries before I book anything with people, and
Sure.
so it's a nice growing experience. A way to keep my mind active is by going out there and learning everything you can, and learning the best solutions for that client.
I think that idea kind of holds true even outside of a travel agency. If you're kind of in the business of maybe sending people to other areas, or trying to just incorporate other businesses into your own to, further your own, you really need to go through that extra step of learning the area, the community, the business, right? And taking that extra step versus just, oh, I hear that they're a good company, or I like the owner over there, right? But being able to speak knowledgeable about, the things that you're talking, or where you're sending your clients to, whether it's a business or a location, is a very important step that could very well be easily overlooked.
Yeah, and it's a major thing to build trust. The
Yeah,
one thing that I would tell you that people say about me, even people that don't always agree with me, is that I'm a very trustworthy person. And that's
sure.
an important thing in any business that you're dealing with, because they want to know that you're going to deal with them, on the up and up, and there's not going to be any issues with that. And it takes time, and it takes going to, I was treasurer of the chamber board for a year,
Mm,
president of the Kiwanis Club, um, now on the HOA board for the subdivision that I live in. Just getting that community and being involved and doing what you can for it really helps you grow not only your business, but your ability to do things in the community.
right. This is, a great idea for anybody who is, like I said, a current business owner, or somebody that's looking into starting a business. That's something that you need to definitely keep in mind, as you're kind of plotting a path forward, and thinking about all the different things that go into this. And I'd like to ask you, other than just community involvement, what are maybe some of the other struggles or challenges you faced when it came to setting up either of these businesses that you have right now?
Well, the travel business, the biggest struggle was that, people can go online and book with Expedia or any
Mm,
place like that. And so to actually use a travel agent again was a big step for some people. I don't get paid. I get paid by commission for what trip you go on. And the price that you're paying for your trip is the same price you would find on anybody else, but you get someone to help you and be there every step of the way. I had someone call me from Bali on a Sunday afternoon because they went to check into the hotel and the reservation wasn't there.
oh,
And
geez.
I got it resolved for them. I got them at the hotel. I got them to allow them to have a room as we resolved this. And it was resolved by Sunday night, which was the next morning in Bali. So it's just nice to have a partner that's looking out for you, that's available to help you if you need it. I had someone just this last summer that was going to go on a food tour and they weren't on the list for some reason. So I talked to the
Mm,
vendor on the phone when they were there and they said, okay, well, we've got space, so we'll just add them in. It's
right.
again, it's dealing with people. And one of my skills that I think I've always had is being able to deal with people and help people. And I'm really committed. I mean, that's the reason why I'm so committed to the community, because I really believe in giving back.
Right. It's it again, when you're thinking about a business, and again, me who I don't own a business, I don't really run one, but you think about, I need to be profitable, right? And that it's so easy to just make that be the focus and priority. But from the people I've talked to so far, the people are really what need to be the priority. And the people who are successful really make that the focal point of their business. And then everything else kind of circles that and builds the rest of the business up, right? So whether you're pushing product or you're pushing um, travel stuff or theater stuff, whatever, I keep hearing the same common core theme of taking care of people around you in a number of capacities. And so I think that's just such a really cool concept that I think anybody who's maybe struggling in their business or trying to find ways to help it grow, really sit back and think, how am I taking care of people? And what am I doing for that?
Well, and if you look at statistics, you're kind of silly to start your own business because something like 80% of all businesses fail in the first 5 years. And the
Yeah.
reason why that happens is because they become too absorbed with their business. They need to
Yeah.
make that connection and they need to grow their audience, because what happens is, you open up a new shop or you open up a new restaurant and people are all Twitter about it for the first 3 to 6 months. And then it's like, well, okay, I
On to
don't
the
know
next
that I
thing.
need to go back there again.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That's crazy, man. Well, we talked about some of the challenges that come with being a business owner. What are some of the successes that you're really proud of, or through some of these challenges that we've talked about, and ways to help people? What are maybe some of the positives that have really come out of all of this?
Oh, I think the positives are all the appreciation on the travel side. It's the appreciation of the people getting back to me and saying how wonderful their trip was and how much I did to help them. And, that's most of my clients now. I don't really go out and solicit them at this point. If they come
Sure.
to me referred or if they've done stuff with me in the past, I take them on. But they're always happy with what I've never had anyone upset with me for what I did for them. As far as the theater, the accomplishments last year were just incredible. We were nominated for 5 Broadway World Awards, which really
Wow.
is a Denver theater thing. Now, we didn't win any of them, but we had 2 shows and both shows were nominated. So um, we had critics from Denver come up and review the shows, which, to a little town of Bailey, that's a big deal. So we've had a
Nice.
lot of great accomplishments for the theater too. And I think those kind of help. Maybe when you're having a bad day, I think it's kind of those things that help pull you through. You got to remember, hey, I just talked to that person and they got back from Australia and they had a fabulous time. Or, as rough as the theater season can be, because it's just a total animal of itself. If you've never worked in theater, it's
Yeah.
it's a tough thing. So, but then you get nominated for stuff, or you read a good review, or it's taking taking life one day at a time, and learning the lessons that are taught to you by what you're experiencing.
Yeah. And that's kind of going to lead into my next question for you there is, with a very diverse background here, obviously a lot of the theater stuff that you had in your past really helped you with the theater company now. But when it comes to the travel agency, what are some of, the experiences that you gained in the past that really kind of helped you succeed or feel comfortable taking that step into, I want to open a travel company, a travel agency, that maybe something I haven't really dealt with in the past, right?
Well, yeah, I took a couple months when I left the last tax job that I had, and I've done some tax jobs part-time after that, so that's why the length of time is so long. But I I wanted to do something different, and something that I really enjoy, and I really enjoy traveling myself. So I couldn't think of a better business to operate than a travel agency where I could help people do what I love to do.
Sure. No, that makes perfect sense. It just, you have a kind of cool dichotomy there where it's like, people want to maybe open a business based off of something that they have a lot of experience in. And that kind of gives them a nice feeling or a nice safety net. Right. And then you have a business where, okay, I don't have a lot of experience in, setting up travel or, how to go through and deal with these things, but that's something that's important to me. And that I'm passionate about. And so I want to go forward and take that step in it where you maybe don't have as solid of a safety net or tons of experience in like you do have that theater stuff. So, to have both of those competing ideas in your background is, I think, a very well-rounded kind of experience.
Well, I think it's always better to start a business with passion. I don't think experience, you can have, you need to have basic business experience. You have to know how to do your books. You have to know how to price things if you've got a store. But I think it's much more important to do something you're passionate about, because that'll carry you through the building that takes time, and
Right.
and you don't know what else is coming. So if you keep that passion, that fire, that gets you through.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned COVID. I mean, I imagine that was one extreme example, but that the basis of that example can be applied to any number of situations. As the market comes and goes, and travel seasons come and go. Right, being able to push through that when things maybe aren't running on all cylinders. How do you keep pushing forward, even if things kind of dwindle a little bit here or there, right? Versus just kind of get frustrated with it all.
Well, yeah, and through COVID, as far as the theater goes, thousands of theaters closed for good across the country because of it.
Yeah.
So for us to have survived it as an infancy of a theater, I take great pride in that.
As you should, man. Um, let's see. I kind of want to hear a little bit more about the culture within Bailey.
Okay.
We're going to be talking to some of the people from the Chamber of Commerce out there in one of the upcoming episodes, but it is it's a small community, but it seems like, just looking at the businesses out there, there's a ton of different things out there. And to have a theater company out there, you don't see many small towns with a dedicated theater company in that area, right? So, what is the kind of culture within Bailey? What is the town like? What kind of made you feel like this is a good place for me to set up shop and run these businesses out of?
Well, the culture in the town is wonderful. I mean, they have a slogan about being Bailey strong, and really, neighbors help neighbors all the time around here. It's a wonderful community, even for people that are new to the area. They're pretty welcoming. So as far as a business environment, I think it's got a chance to really do more than what it is, because there hasn't been a cohesive downtown Bailey for quite a long time. And so now that the stores and restaurants are starting to get filled up and stuff, they're rebuilding that community sense down there. And I think that that's vitally important. And then there's more businesses up at the top of Crow Hill. So Bailey's kind of divided between two sections. So I live in a community called Berlin, which is just up to about, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles from downtown Bailey, but it's up Crow Hill. So there's some businesses right there, and then there's a bunch of businesses downtown. So they're all trying to work together to figure out the best way to promote all the businesses. And they've done some innovative things with Small Business Friday. They got businesses to donate gift certificates, and every time you bought something, you would get raffle tickets based on what you spent. So, you might have $200 worth of raffle tickets, and then they pull someone out and you win. I think this year, it was like a $1,000 gift basket. So, so it's the right people are around now to kind of make it grow the way that it needs to grow. I think the community is very divided between the older people that have lived here for 40, 50 years, and this new bunch that has come around probably in the last 20 years or so. And I don't think anyone wants to build Bailey to be like any larger community.
Right.
We have about 12,000 people in the town, and we're by far the biggest. We have 65% of the population of Park County.
Okay. And
Park County's huge. I mean, I think the area of Park County is bigger than New Hampshire, I think it is. So, so it's interesting because most of the people that live in Park County are right around Bailey. And so it's just a matter of getting them to be more involved with the community. And I think events and I think, little things like that for businesses are great. The chamber started featuring businesses on their website, and I think all that's good stuff.
Yeah, I think the reason I bring it up is maybe some aspiring business owners out there might shy away from smaller towns or smaller communities because they want to be around as many people as possible, right? They want to get that storefront on a major intersection, major corner there that tons of people are going to drive by every day. And they feel like if they go into those smaller areas that they may be losing something. But to me, it almost seems like it's not based off of the number of people around you. It's based off the quality of the community and the support that you have from everyone around you. So, I kind of attribute a lot of that to, just hearing from your success stories there, having that kind of really solid foundation and the people in the community around you being a big help and a big factor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, I've done a lot of work with CDOT, and, most weekends, especially in the summer, we have about 10,000 cars that come through here. So it's not only your community, but it's a way to try and figure out how to reach those people that are coming through to stop to have lunch or to stop and look at the shops or the artwork or whatever. And I think I would tell you in the last 3 years, they've really started to show some improvement and do things.
That's fantastic, man.
Yep.
The last kind of topic I want to bring up is something that I'm sure every business owner just loves talking about, loves thinking about, and that is insurance, right?
Yep.
So, in both of your kind of enterprises there, how do you approach the idea of insurance, and, what are, some of the concerns that you might have, or you had initially when it came to figuring this out? Because there are a lot of people who have a business or starting a business saying, you know, I got to have insurance. I'm going to get the cheapest possible so I can sign off it, say I have insurance, right? But don't really take that time to think about what does it really mean to be properly insured. So when it comes to that for you, you know, what are some of your thought processes there?
Well, so I was lucky with the travel business because it is a franchise. They offer E&O insurance, which is really the insurance that you need, because if you make a mistake that's going to cost someone a trip or something, you know, you could be liable for that. Um, so both of the businesses I run out of my home, so I don't really have additional insurance. The theater is covered with the performance area because of the event venue that we do it in, so they have insurance. But I think that, you know, you need to look at what your ability to have liability is out there, because I think, again, you get so close-minded, you don't think about the possibilities of stuff that you need to take care of as far as insurance, and make sure that you're covered. So, you know, you don't lose your house, or you don't lose your business or your life savings or something like that.
Right. So, you know, when it comes to your whoever you're currently with in terms of your insurance, you know, how do you feel you're you know, connected with them? Do you feel like there's a solid connection, conversation piece where you can reach out to someone at any time? You know, what kind of advice would you give to someone out there when they're shopping for insurance for their business as well?
Yeah, well, I'm with Centennial Insurance. I've been with them since before they were Centennial Insurance, and the customer service has been wonderful. You know, they do a yearly review with me usually, or every couple of years, to make sure that I have enough coverage for, you know, the home and cars and other things like that. So I always refer people to them because I think they're very easy to work with. And in this time frame up here, insurance rates are going way up because of fire liability, and they will work with you because they know the different fire designations for the different areas, so they can find insurance for you that other people may not be able to find for you.
Yeah. So, you know, the idea of having an agent that you can contact directly, right? The idea of knowing it's somebody on the other line that trusts, or that you trust to, you know, take care of you more than just, you know, take my money, you know, give me your money, you know, sign on the dotted line so I can get paid, right? You know, having that person that is willing to talk to you about your business, help you find out what are some things that maybe you're not thinking of, right? Especially for a new business owner, you know, this is something that, you know, is important, and here's why, that, you know, you want to be covered with this. Yeah, it might be a little bit more money there, but, you know, when you're talking about your home being on the line, your livelihood being on the line, your life savings being on the line, there's a lot that can really go into that. So it's really, I think, easy to overlook that idea of insurance, right? But having someone that you trust to move forward with, and you know that they're going to continue to watch out for you year after year and help you through any of those things that change in the insurance industry, are just really key to being successful as well.
Yeah, I think it's like everything else in life. You need a good partner. And I think, you know, you can go online and get Geico or whatever, and you'll never talk to the same person again. And, you know, it might work out for you. But if you've got someone that you can call or send an email to, and within, you know, hours to a day, you get a response, or they call you back and tell you, hey, no, you got to look at this, or you got to look at that. I think it's just a much better situation. You know, with the fire that was in Boulder, I guess about 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
They really went over the coverage for my house because the price per square foot to rebuild if something happened really changed. You know, the metric, and I may not remember the metrics exactly, but it went from like $250 a square foot to like $400 a square foot. Well, if you don't have enough insurance to cover you, which is what happened with the people in Boulder, you can't rebuild.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's true for business too, because it's the same way. If you lose your business because of fire and you don't have the right kind of coverage or enough coverage, you're done. You can't reopen a business because you've got no way to pay for it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, that's when you put all your time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears into these things, right? Like that's the last thing that you want to have happen is you work towards building something and having it be successful just for something completely out of your control to come in and, take it all away from you. Right. So, just the thing that I try to tell people as much as possible is, I know it's not something that's fun to think about. I know it's something that you probably don't know a lot about. And it's kind of maybe overwhelming, right? But having that partner, like you talked about, finding someone you can go to and help, have them help you with explaining a lot of these concepts and walking you through the process.
Yeah.
I imagine for you as a business owner, it gives you a lot of peace of mind when it comes to, hey, if something were to happen, I know that I'm going to be taken care of.
It really does. It really does. Many years ago, probably 15 years ago at this point, I had a friend that had a bar in just outside of Indianapolis, and he had a fire. And he found out, unfortunately, after the fact that the insurance didn't cover everything from the fire. And he didn't understand. And I said, did you ever read the policy or talk to the guy? Well, no, they just told me this is what I needed, so I bought it.
Yeah.
And that was the end of his business because he couldn't come back from that.
Right. So, I mean, I would just say to anyone listening out there that maybe is feeling like, oh, that's me. I don't think I have looked at my policy. I don't think I have talked to anyone about this. Maybe now is a good time to start thinking about that. And, again, when you want to keep your overhead costs as low as possible, right? There are some things that you really want to invest in yourself in, whether it's, money for advertising, community outreach, those things. Insurance should be at one of the top of your list there, right? And not to say that just buy the most expensive insurance out there, right? Buy a policy that is tailor fit for you and your situation.
Well, and I think that
peace of mind.
Centennial will do a policy review with you, so you can bring them your policy that you currently have, and they can look at it and tell you, where they could save you money or where they can't, and if you've got enough coverage and stuff, and so at least you know something.
Exactly. Right. You want somebody that's not going to, pull the wool over your eyes or kind of cherry coat anything. Right. And I think Centennial does do a really good job with that. We try to tell you what it is, right? This is something that, hey, you are way undercovered here. And here's what I mean by undercovered, right? Here's situations where if something were to happen, this actually would not protect you. Right. And here's things where, okay, you need this and we can't go any lower than that. Maybe somebody else out there can, but here are the things that we're going to provide to you through just our personal services and the communication that we offer and things like that. So, just really important things for people to think about that maybe they don't want to think about. And I don't blame them, but it is something to spend some time on.
I think insurance is like a lot of things in life. It's a necessary evil. And so people don't want to deal with it, but you have to deal with it. And
Exactly.
that's just the way it is. And the best thing to do is to embrace it and get a partner that can help you through it so that you don't have to be the all knowledgeable person about it. You've got someone that's going to tell you, you know what, you got coverage here, but it's only, $10,000. That's not going to pay for a loss, or you've got, $500,000 here, and maybe you don't need quite that much. Maybe 400,000 or 300,000 is better for you, So it's just the ability to have that conversation. And I don't know, I've had insurance as far as personal stuff, obviously my whole life, and I just haven't had the same partnership that I've had with Centennial.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. And that's what we really do strive for. So, well, Bill, let's wrap this up. I'll hand it over to you. Any kind of closing thoughts you might have, any pieces of advice, if you want to kind of just run us through your businesses one more time, how people can find you, contact you for both the theater stuff and the travel agency you have there, so people can reach out if they want.
Yeah, so my two businesses are Cruise Planners Heart and Soul Excursions. The website for that is Heart and Soul and excursions.com. And you can look through stuff. You can you can get a good idea where you want to go, and you can even get a good idea about pricing and stuff. And I, like I say, I can send anybody anywhere. The Cruise Planners part's the franchise, so people get confused that I only do cruises, and I don't. I do every kind of travel, independent travel, and tour travel, and cruises. So, and then the theater is baileytheater.org, baileytheatercompany.org, and always looking for donations there. Donations are 100% tax deductible, depending on your tax situation. But we're always looking for help doing stuff and for extra money. And of course, we'll post the shows that we're going to have for the 25 season anytime now, and we'll get tickets up there so you can start buying tickets in the next probably month or so.
Sounds great, man. Well, hey, Bill, thank you very much for your time, the conversation, a lot of really good insights, and just a fantastic story in general. So seriously, thank you very much for spending some time coming on with me today.
Thank you, Kevin. Have a great day. Okay.
You too. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this latest episode of Behind the Small Business, brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. My name is Kevin Danino. Keep checking us out, future episodes, as we keep talking to a wide variety of other business owners and hearing their story and picking their brains on any advice they might have for you as well. That being said, everyone, have a good rest of your day, and we will catch you next time. Take care.